మహానుభావుడు కాదు చాలా పనులు ఉన్నాయి. చాలా పనులు ఉన్నాయి, టైం దొరకట్లేదు.
మీ పక్కన ఉన్నాయా అసలు? సరే రైట్ అయితే.
ఓకే. హలో
पाटिल कॉल करा तो हेलो हेलो हेलो
Yes, Ahmad.
हेलो
Yes, Ahmad.
Yes, Ahmad. Just I want to know that who is recording this session so that I can contact afterward to take this recording session.
I don't know who
I
is
think
recording.
Prashant is recording.
Sorry, sir. Sorry, bro.
Prashant is recording, bro.
Okay.
ప్రవీణ్,
No,
ప్రవీణ్ నీ దగ్గర నుంచి కూడా రికార్డ్ చేయవా?
నా దగ్గర నుంచా? ఓకే.
నెక్స్ట్ ఏం లేదు, నువ్వు సైడ్ లో ఆప్షన్ ఉంది రికార్డ్, నీ టైం లో సేవ్ అయిపోతుంది.
ప్రశాంత్ నీ వాయిస్ ఎక్కువ వస్తుంది.
ఓకే,
ఎక్కువ వస్తుందా? ఓకే ఓకే, ఎనీవేస్ నేను మ్యూట్ లోకి వెళ్తున్నా. కానీ ప్రవీణ్ నీ దగ్గర నుంచి కూడా రికార్డింగ్ పెట్టు, ఇక్కడ నా దగ్గర నుంచి కూడా పెడతా చూద్దాం.
కాదన్నా, ఇది ఆల్రెడీ రికార్డింగ్ అని చూపిస్తుంది ఇక్కడ నాకు.
రికార్డింగ్ ఓకే, నీ డ్రైవ్ లో సేవ్ అయిపోతుంది.
ఓకే డన్.
తర్వాత నాకు షేర్ చేసి
స్టాప్ రికార్డింగ్ ఆప్షన్ ఒకటే చూపిస్తుంది నాకు. స్టార్ట్
రైట్ ఆటో రికార్డ్ అయిపోతుంది.
రైట్. So can we start?
Yes, bro.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So good evening all. So myself Praveen. So today we will discuss about the VPC concept. I mean one of the key concept in the AWS. So let me present my screen. So I hope you are able to see my screen.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
we can.
yeah. So I have prepared a few slides and I have covered almost all the topics related to the VPC and subnets, NACLs and security groups. So I have covered about the VPC peering and transit gateway as well. So let me walk through one by one. So basically, VPC, you all are very familiar about the what is meant by an VPC. So it's a virtual private cloud. So so this is the key concept for in the AWS account. So for example, if you want to host any EC2 instance or if you want to launch any database server or anything, so first you require the VPC. So I mean networking components. Okay. So here, if you observe this architecture diagram, so like so VPC includes a lot of things like VPC contains the subnets, route tables, internet gateway, NAT gateway. So these all the things will come under the VPC concept. So when we look at the benefits of the VPC, so it is very secure and customizable and it is simple. Like if I say secure in the sense, so like if you want to host any web application, so you can secure about restrict who can allow your EC2 instance with the specific people, or it can be access it can be blocked by the subnet level also. Okay, so simple in the means it is easy to create when you need to navigate to the AWS console and search for the VPC service. So with few clicks you can able to create the VPC. So by default, if you create an AWS account, so by default one VPC will be created, default VPC. So it will comes under the all the subnets and internet gateway except NAT gateway. So we can cover all the things with the default VPC. So but most of the projects we can use like as a best practices, so we can create the custom VPC as per the client requirement. So if the client is requested with a specific IP CADR range, for let us say if one of the customer has requested they required all the servers within 10 dot series or 20 dot series IPs, so that what we can do, so we can create one custom VPC and we'll provision all the servers in these specific subnet levels. Okay. And well, coming to the subnets, what's in mean by subnets? So subnets, so basically we can classify it as a two types. One is public subnets and another one is private subnets. So what servers will include in the public subnet and what servers will include in the private subnet in the sense. So for example, if you want to host a three-tier web application in the AWS cloud, so that if you want to maintain the database in private network, so you need to host that data DB server in the private network. And some of the customers will have will have the requirement like they want to access the application server in the public network and DB server should be in private network. Okay, so at that case we can launch the public we can launch the application servers in the public network and DB servers in the private network. So basically how we can calculate the CADR ranges. So each for suppose let us say one example. So if you want to construct an house, you would require an land. So here land is called as the VPC. Just assume that. So VPC is your land, and inside the VPC, what you required the subnets and you require the internet connectivity. Whatever the components will cover, so you will require those all the things. So in the same way, if you want to construct a house, so you require the land and so once you have the land, you have the plan, like you need to design a plan, like which room, like for example you can design, so okay, this place should be in like hall or bedroom or kitchen, so you can divide like that, right? You can segregate in the single land. And so in the same way we can divide a large network into segregate the large network into pieces. So what the pieces is called the subnets. So splitting of the large network into multiple splits is called the subnets. Okay, so yeah, for suppose, I mean, here how the subnets formula will be calculated means, so let us say for suppose you have created 10.0.0.0/16, so that is the CIDR of IP range. So /16 means you can able to get, I think around some few, like around 2500 IPs will we get. So I don't know other exact calculations, but we will get some X amount of IPs. So these X amount of IPs can be again calculated into multiple parts. So for example, if you have 4 subnets, 2 public subnets and 2 private subnets, you need to segregate with this /16. Okay, so if you observe here in the formula, so I have mentioned total available host bits equal to total bits minus network prefix. So total bits we have 32 bits. So for suppose if you create with the CADR range with /16, 32 minus 16, so then we will have the remaining 16 bits will be have. So 2 power to 16 will get 65,536 IPs will be available. So based on this IPs, so we can segregate with the multiple subnets. So but here one thing I will note that, like if you create with /16 VPC, that subnet should be greater than the VPC CIDR range. So for, let us say you have created the VPC with /10.0.0.0/16, and the subnet should be 10.0.1.0/24 or /22. So it should be range like that. And coming to the road subnets, okay. So road tables. So here road tables is the key concept. I mean, like if you want to allow the internet access or deny the internet access, so the total control will be here in the road tables. So what is meant by the road table is like so we can once the VPC is created, a default road table will be created. So that road table is called the main road table. So you can, maybe you can assign as a public road table or the private road table. You can define whatever you require. So mostly we will use the public route table as the default one, and we can able to create the custom route tables as well. So custom route table in the sense if you want to access all the public subnets under one public road table and all the private subnets associated with one private road table. So so here we have the concept like in the destination and target we have. So destination should be you need to specify the which for suppose if you have the site to site VPN connection or some you want to access with a specific IP addresses, so you need to provide in the destination table, I mean destination roads. So if here, if you look at this example, this 10.0.0.16 is the VPC CIDR range, and the target is local. So whatever the instances will be provisioned under this network, so it can be accessible within the local. So and so these road tables can be attached either internet gateway or the NAT gateway, network interfaces, VPC peerings, or the transit gateway attachments. You can give the targets. Okay. So and coming to the internet gateway and NAT gateway. So what is the differences between these two? What is meant by an internet gateway and what is meant by a NAT gateway? So basically, internet gateway is like to access the internet from your VPC. to your VPC. So it's a communication between your VPC and outside the end users. So like if you host the web application in a public network, so and you want to install some configurations inside the server, you require the internet access to update the patches or to install to configure some web applications inside the server. You require the internet access. So for that we need to create an internet gateway, and that internet gateway should be attached to the VPC. So after that, this internet gateway should this internet gateway ID should attach it to the subnets, whether it is road tables, whether it is public road table. I mean, we need to associate this internet gateway to the public road tables. So then only you can able to access the internet, whatever the instances you have launched in the public network, you can able to access the internet. Or otherwise, you don't have the access. You can't able to update the patches. I mean, download and install those all the things you can't do. So once we have the internet gateway in the road table, then only you can able to access the internet. And coming to the NAT gateway, so for suppose you have hosted in the database server or the application server in the private network, so you don't have the internet access to update the patches for that server. So for that, we have the NAT gateway concept. So so it's a one-way traffic, but you can while creating the NAT gateway, we need to choose the public subnets. So most of the persons will miss it at creation of the NAT gateway. Someone I also do the at the initial stage. So while creating the NAT gateway, I selected the private subnets. So once the everything the VPC setup is completed, so I have logged in one of the private server and I'm trying to ping some google.com or anyone X. So I'm not getting the internet access. So that while debugging all the network VPC configuration, then we can found that. So this NAT gateway I have created in the private network, private subnets. So if you choose the private subnet, you can't access the internet in the private servers. So make sure that when you create the NAT gateway, we need to use the public subnets. So here and the next concept is VPC flow logs and the VPC endpoints. So while enabling the VP, what is the advantage of for enabling the VPC flow logs in the sense? So sorry. So we can able to track all the network related logs if you enable the flow logs. So either these flow logs can be saved in CloudWatch or in the S3. So if you look at this diagram, so let me zoom it. So this is so these flow logs will be enabled for each network interfaces. Okay, so here how we can read the VPC flow logs. So for suppose if the client is asked if the client one of the server is getting DDoS attack, so we can't able to try if you can't enable the flow logs. So we cannot track the which IP is coming frequently to that specific server or not. We can't able to track. So if you enable the VPC flow logs, then we can easily identify so how many times that IP is hitting to the server, we can able to track. So here whatever the this is the AWS account number. So here the network interfaces we have. So each instance we have the network interfaces, right? So we can able to get these interfaces IDs. So and this is the source IP. First, whatever the IP you are seeing, this is the source IP, and this is the destination IP. So destination IP in the sense these are called the AWS servers. So whatever the series will be there in 10.0. Whatever the VPC you have created. So these are the destination IPs, and it is trying to with port number 6000 source port is, and the destination port is 22, with the packets, how much data will be sent to the, either it is 40 bytes or some X bytes, and we can get the time stamp also. So at what time the end user is trying to access to that server or not, whether that request is accepted or rejected. So we can able to track all these metrics in the flow logs. So if you want to the detailed, analysis using the graphical representation, so we have the tool Athena we have. So I have given the link in the end of the session, end of the slides. So if you go to that link, so there it's clearly defined how we can use the Athena with VPC flow logs, how we can analyze. So these all the things we can able to, we can easily identify what is the IP is coming frequently to our VPC, to our network or not. So we can easily track those kind of the metrics. And so here VPC endpoint also I have mentioned. So what is the benefit of VPC endpoint? So let us say if the customer is having, if the customer is don't have the internet access in the private servers, but they want to communicate with the some specific resources, either it's S3 or the DynamoDB, they want to access. So if that is the case, so what we can do, so we can create the VPC endpoint, if it is if the client has requested with S3 endpoint. If the client is trying to access from server to S3, so we can create one S3 endpoint. So we can establish the then we don't need to have the NAT gateway or internet gateway. We don't require for that server. So it's directly communicate from server to S3 with the help of the endpoint. So you can able to get the data, you can upload the data, download the data, whatever the operations we have, will perform while we have the internet access. The same operations you can do with using the VPC endpoint also, without accessing the internet. Without the using the NAT gateway or internet gateway, we can able to perform. And the next slide is VPC peering and the transit gateway. So here VPC peering, most of the cases we are using VPC peering. If you have the, if the client is having a requirement like production environment and the dev environment. So if they want to communicate with two VPCs, we can establish the VPC peering line. But while making the VPC peering, make sure that the CIDR ranges, whatever the CIDR ranges, should not be same. It should be different. So let us say VPC A is 10 series and the VPC B is 10 series with the same CIDR range. Then the VPC peering will won't work. So it should be in different CIDR ranges, different CIDR ranges. So then only the peering will be established. So what is the benefit for this VPC peering is, so like for suppose you have created two environments, production and dev environment. So and the dev server should want to communicate to the production servers as well. So some development requirement will have. So at that case, if you enable this peering connection, so your dev server will communicate to the production, and the production server will also be communicated to the dev instances. So both the sides peering will be, connection will be established. So then it's easy to migrate the file, to copy and transfer the files between these two environments. But the disadvantages of this VPC peering is it won't be support the transitive peering. So transitive peering in the sense, if you have the three or more than 3 to 4 VPCs, you can't able to establish the peering connection for all the at a time. So so it should be communicate with the with the different CIDR ranges, and it should not communicate for suppose the VPC A and VPC B and VPC C we have. So if you establish the peering connection from A to B and B to C, So and it should not we can't establish the connection between the VPC A to VPC C, so it won't support. So and if you so while coming to the transit gateway, so we have the so transit gateway will act as the hub, uh, so it can communicate with the different VPCs. So you can create one transit gateway in single account, and you can share to multiple accounts. So all the network network flow will be happen through these. Using this transit gateway, we can able to manage all the different AWS accounts or different VPCs also we can able to manage. So so the benefits of this transit gateway is it is easy to connect and better visibility and control. You don't need to debug it won't take too much time to when the traffic is not in for suppose if you have if you have the two AWS accounts with two different with the multiple VPCs, so then you need to establish with the transit gateway, so you can able to manage for other account without creating the NAT gateway. So you can able to if you share this transit gateway attachment to other account, so you can able to access the internet as well. So no need to create NAT gateways in other accounts. So we can easily maintain with the help of the transit gateway for communicating with the multiple VPCs. And coming to the next slide, NACLs and security group list. So you are all familiar about the what is meant by a security group and network access control list. So basically, security groups will act as the instance level only. Whereas coming to the NACLs, so it will work as the subnet levels. So if you observe in the IS architecture, so this road tables, it will work on the subnet level only. NACLs will work on subnet level, and security groups will work as the will tied as the instance levels. And whereas network security groups are so NACLs are the stateless. So for if it is stateless means, for suppose if you want to allow a port number with 80 port or whatever the 443 port in if you want to allow, so you need to explicitly specify whether in the inbound and outbound as well. If you want to allow or deny, if you want to allow in inbound rule and deny in the outbound rule, so you can have a feasibility to specify those kind of options in the NACLs. But whereas in the security group, so these are the stateful. So when you we don't have the deny rules in the security group levels, so only allow you can able to allow. For suppose if you for suppose if you allow the 80 port number, so it will automatically apply to the outbound rule as well. So what are the rules you have applied inbound, so those rules will be automatically applied to the outbound side as outbound also. Next is the demo. So let me create the VPC, and I will launch one sample server and will showcase the how the network will access without NAT gateway or the VPC endpoints. Let me show you.
So while Praveen is preparing for that, two things I would like to put in. One is about NACL. So if you want to block outgoing IP, so for example, you don't want your application or the servers to connect to a particular IP on the web. For example, you are getting some IP, some external IP is trying to hack your application. Okay.
Yeah.
Understood,
sir.
Good.
So you were saying about the DDoS attacks. Frequently we get
reverse
the emails.
Reverse DDoS, yeah.
Yeah. So we are all aware of that. Frequently we'll get the emails from the AWS end. So and so instance is exposed with the so and so port number with source IP and the destination IP. So those kind of mails will get. So at that time, what we need to do is, so we need to block that source IP in the NACLs.
Correct. So it's
So-
very simple. If someone tells you that your application is pinging to my IP, some outside IP, and it is trying to hack me, to stop your application from reaching that IP, you have to block or block that IP in the NACL, inside out. Okay.
Yes.
Security group is outside in. And NACL can also do it inside out. But there is one condition there. NACLs will not allow you to block more than 100 IPs. Right?
Yeah,
Sometimes-
so those all the limitations I have given in the reference links, VPC limitations, and
wonderful.
so these are the benefits of the VPC paging, flow logs, analyzing with Athena. So I have given the links. So I will share this PPT presentation with MES team so that they can walk through this presentation and will access these URLs.
Perfect.
So let me log into the R&D account.
So everyone should be, spend time to understand this core networking, VPC, specifically the transit gateway. What Praveen just told. It's very simple. A to B to C. I can do a VPC pairing between 3 VPCs. A can pair with B, B can pair with C, but A cannot talk to C. When you put transit gateway, it becomes a hub and spoke model. Every VPC can talk to each of them. Okay, a very powerful feature which was launched recently, and we have become experts in implementing that. Okay, the Praveen, Sayyad, you ask them, they know everything about it, right? So they should be able to get you on it. But reach out to them. See, the bottom line is, after this, note out few 2 or 3 things or 10 things, doesn't matter, and reach out to Praveen and say, hey, Praveen, I want to know this, tell me more about it. Then he will be interested. If you keep quiet, then nothing will happen.
Yeah, so if you have any questions, so please let me know. So I'm happy to answer all the queries. So if you send an email also, I will reply those what are the questions you have given. So I will give the reference links as well as the descriptions.
And yesterday I forgot to tell, and which I tell to everyone, I would have told you guys also earlier, no question is stupid. Okay? Asking question is more important than whether that question, what will Praveen think or Ravi think if I ask this question. Please, any question, asking a question is the biggest, art. Just ask the question, doesn't matter whether it is small or big.
Yes. So what are the console you are seeing? So this is the VPC console. So let me create an VPC. So here the VPC name, while creating the network components, so we need to make sure that we need to maintain the proper tagging as well. So for suppose if you are working with the X client, so we need to define client name and hyphen VPC. So then it is easy to identify if the other person will log into this account. They can easily identify which VPC it is, either it is pod VPC or stage VPC. We can define the environment as well. So here I am taking the 10 series, and so here tenancy in the sense, if you select here we have the 2 options, default and dedicated. So if you select default, you can able to launch the instances dedicated instances or default instances, marketplace instances. You can launch any type of instances when you select default. So or when you select the dedicated, you can able to launch only the dedicated instances only. So I'm selecting the default. So once the VPC is created, then we need to create the subnets. sorry. So I will create one public subnet and one private subnet. Need to select our VPC. So and here the availability zone. So VPC comes under the region wise, but the subnets will work as the zone wise. So here we have in Tokyo region we have 3 availability zones. So we can select 1A and 0.0./20. So if I give the /24, we can able to get 251 IPs from this public subnet. So 256. I mean 256 available IPs will be there, total. But out of 256, 5 IPs will be reserved from the AWS end. So that is first 4 IPs and the last one will result from the AWS end itself. So if you calculate with this CADR range, so we'll get the 256, but here we can able to launch only 251 IPs as well. And I'll create one more subnet, demo private subnet. So for high availability, we need to maintain 2 public subnets and 2 private subnets in both of the zones. One is if you have 4 subnets, I mean you can create one public subnet in 1A and one public subnet in 1B, and one private subnet in 1A and one private subnet in 1B. So for maintaining the high availability, but in our scenario we don't require any high availability, so I'll go with the 1A itself, I mean private subnet itself. So next, internet gateway. So I mean for accessing the internet while to the VPC, we require this internet gateway. So create internet gateway demo IPW. So after that, we need to associate this internet gateway to our VPC. So once the internet gateway is created, then we need to go back to the route tables. So as earlier I said, while creating the VPC, by default we'll get one route table. So if you observe here, demo VPC, so this is the main route table, so we can rename as demo public route table. And I'll create one more custom route table, that one is private. Need to associate the VPC as well. So once the route tables are created, we need to associate the subnets. So make sure that, I mean, we can able to associate multiple subnets in single route table. We can't we can't associate multiple route tables to each subnets. So here public subnet. So I need to select whatever the subnets which I created in the public facing. So those subnets I can select. And private route table. So I will associate in the private subnet. I mean private subnet. Demo private subnet. So after that, we need to give the routes. So here by default we'll get this 10 dot VPC CADR range. So while giving the network access to this entire subnet, I mean entire road table, whatever the subnets we are will associated to this road table, so we can able to get the internet access. Here I am allowing the all IP address, and the source IP is any IP. So here we can have a multiple list of options, whether we can able to select internet gateway or NAT gateway network interface. But in our scenario is internet gateway and the demo IGW. So NAT gateway I don't create. Without NAT gateway we can access with the. I mean I can demonstrate how we can communicate with the S3 service. Let me demo private road table. Okay. So in some cases, most of the cases, while when we establish the site-to-site VPN connection, so if the client is saying that everything is configured from the client end, and if you see in the tunnel status also, it is showing up. But the communication will not be happen from the on-prem network and AWS network. So most of the, things we will miss is road propagation. So if you have the VPN connection, so we can able to view the propagation rules here. So we need to enable these, propagated rules we need to enable when we have the site-to-site VPN connections. So okay, so this VPC creation is completed. So let me launch one instance. Demo public subnet actions. See here, modify auto as an IP settings. So if you try to launch the instances in the public, if in the custom VPC, so from the while launching the EC2 instance, we need to specify the whether we require the public IP address or not. So if you assign modify auto as an IP settings, it is enabled, so no need to specify the, it will come with the default while launching the instances. So let me show that one also. EC2. So I will take the Amazon Linux. E2 micro is enough. So here we need to select our VPC subnet, which subnet you require, either public subnet or private subnet. See here, auto as in public IP. If you didn't specify the auto as in public IP in that specific subnet, here we need to specify whether we need to enable or disable. So if you don't enable in the subnet level, by default it will be in disable state. So we need to specify the if you want to public IP, you need to enable here. And yeah, a role I will do the SSM role. So we'll log into the SSM using SSM. Storage 8 GB is enough. So make sure that you need to give the, you need to allow the port numbers with the specific, with the limit, with the minimum number of ports. So as per whatever we don't need to give the large number of port ranges, like 0 to some, let me show you. For suppose if I select the all traffic, so it will allow 0 to 65,535 ports. So whatever the port range will be between these range, so I can able to access. So don't allow all traffic in any security groups. So we need to explicitly specify what are the rules. I mean IP port numbers we required. Then only we can use those allot those port numbers itself. So demo practice can launch. Again, I need to specify all these things. So it takes some time. In the meanwhile, we'll create the S3 endpoint. And we can enable the VPC flow logs as well. So here aggregation interval, I mean every 10 minutes it will fetch the details. So we can send to the CloudWatch or else we can save in those flow logs in the S3 bucket as well. So log destination group, we need to create instance scheduler logs. So let me create one log group. So all the VPC flow logs will come under this log group. I mean, it will save here, create log group, VPC hyphen flow logs. So if you didn't specify the IAM role, it will create automatically. Flow logs role will be there. I think it's already there. Let me create. So it will create automatically whatever the permissions we required. So it will create those policy here. So just we need to specify the name. Flow logs role. If you view the policy document, so here create log group, I mean actions. describe log streams, log events, put log events. So these are the policy. Hello.
So there will be another set of training after this set where we'll talk about policies and how to enable and write policies and all. Okay, that will be the next wave we will do sometime. Automation, some kind of automation based demos.
So log store. And then the endpoint. Endpoint service. So create endpoint. So here endpoint we can have multiple services. I mean like DynamoDB, CloudTrail, S3. So we have different types of endpoints we have. So as of now, I'm showing the demonstrated the S3 endpoint. S3. So table. So here we need to specify the VPC, demo VPC. So here road tables means as of now, I mean, I'm allowing only the private road table. Full access, create endpoint. So it will automatically update in the road table as well. So if you, if I go there, let me show demo S3 endpoint. This road table is associated. So let me go to that road tables. Private road table. If I come here, so it will automatically will come to this endpoint. So it can communicate to these instances. Without NAT gateway, we can able to communicate with the S3 service. So let me log into that server. So I'm logging using the SSM. Google.com. So I'm able to access the internet. So I will remove the internet gateway in the public subnet. So let us check whether we can able to access the internet or not. See, if you observe here, I mean the ping is disabled. I mean network connection has lost. Let me log in with So for connecting the SSM, I think we required the internet access. So let me log into the Mobexton. Let us check. So without internet access, I can't able to log into the server as well. So let me check. If I go back to this table. See, whatever these roads is the key concept for the for giving the access to the servers. So if the network, if the communication is not happening to the server, so we need to check in the road tables whether we have given the proper roads or not, subnet associations. So we need to cross check in this road table section. So let me explain that S3 endpoint. For that, I need to launch the server in the private network. Private subnet. I can use the same security group. Okay, here also same. So let me show that NACLs. So how it so here demo VPC 2 subnets. See here inbound rules and outbound rules will be there. So in the security groups, by default outbound traffic will be allowed itself. So if you want to specify any new rule, here we need to add give the rule precedence. So rule precedence, whatever the highest number we have, no, for suppose if we give the 101, so it will take the highest precedence for this. Whatever the request, for suppose custom TCP rule, port range is 80 port. Suppose I have given some my IP address. Can I give, let us say 10 dot. Okay. So whatever the request will come to this specific CADR, so it will deny. So if I deny, so here we can have these type of allow or deny rule in the NACLs, but we don't have these option, allow and deny option, in the security groups. See, if I go to the security groups, only I can allow the only I have the access to allow the groups. Port numbers. I don't have the deny access. See, source and description. Whether here we can only have the allow access only. We don't have the deny access rules in these security groups. So, and one more thing. So, if you want to the FQDN for this private DNS or the public DNS also, so we need to enable the DNS host names. So, some clients will communicate with the host names, fully qualified domain names. Say here, if you observe here, DNS host name is disabled. So, enable. I refresh here, so I'll get the this FQDN private DNS name. Can log in to this system. So we'll log into that private server. Okay, let me allow this security group. I have not allowed this security group. SSH download 0.0./section. I'm allowing within VPC. So now I have logged into this private server. So let me view the S3 buckets, or what are the S3 buckets in this account. AWS S3 LS.
The IAM role should be having S3 access.
Mm-hmm.
The IAM role should be having S3 access.
No, IAM role won't require. So if you have this S3 endpoint, no, so directly should be communicate. So let us check what is the error we'll get. So in the meanwhile, so we can check the VPC flow logs. Demo VPC flow logs. Yeah, so I have enabled only for the private subnet, right? I mean, VPC flow logs. So these are the logs we can get. So what are the number you are seeing? So this is the account number and internet network interface ID. So this is the uh, destination IP. This is the source IP and this is the destination. So if you want view the graphical representation, so we can go with the insights. So let me open that blog once. So in PPT, I have given the link for viewing the VPC flow logs using Athena. So for viewing the Athena, so we need to VPC flow logs. Sites. So here we need to specify the log group. So our log group is demo VPC flow logs. So I will take the sample query from this blog. So limit
Okay, so I'll give a quick use case while you're preparing. What do you use the VPC flow logs for? Okay, so so basically any traffic that is coming inside your VPC from the globe anywhere, if it hits your IP or a load balancer, it enters the VPC. The source address and gets recorded. Okay, where it is coming from, who came from. Now, what you do with this is using this IP address. There are global threat feeds. You know, you can find on the net. You can search what are threat feeds. Threat feeds are basically global knowledge or global database of IPs, wherein they classify and say that this is an IP which is fine, or this is an IP which is creating some kind of hacking or has got is putting in malware, or it is it is not secure. These kind of IPs are coming to you, right? So what we do is picking up using the ingress. So there are two kind of IPs: ingress and egress. INGRESS and EGRESS. Ingress are the IPs that comes from outside in, okay, which is showing right now. Okay, so these are the IPs you get in, match it against the database of global threat analytics and find out whether this IP is secure or not. If the IP is not secure, you block that IP. Where do you block that IP? On AWS. On AWS, there is no way to block an IP. Okay, you block an IP using an intrusion prevention system. Okay, which is your firewalls. You all know Fortinets and checkpoints and Palo Altos, right? These are IPS. Those IPs are blocked in those IPS. Okay, how do you detect? On AWS, we have something called Guard Duty. That is the intrusion detection system. Guard Duty will tell you that this particular IP is trying or scanning ports on you. This particular IP is malicious. You know, it can send malwares onto your portal. You must block this. Where to block? you have to buy those firewalls. You know, that is how it is. So primarily ingress and egress. Egress also, if you have malwares on your system and you go and see the egress log, you will find IPs. It is your system is trying to connect to IPs that you're not aware of. Maybe. Okay. You can try to scan it and find out what is this IP or what is trying to connect to, and you can block it. Okay. That blocking you can do in NACL. You know what we told some time ago, you know, outgoing IPs I can block in NACL, not in security group. I can do it only in NACL. But the limitation is I cannot block more than 100 IPs. So again, to block the outgoing IPs, I will require IPS. That is these checkpoints and all. Okay, with Syed has become a certified checkpoint specialist. Okay, so so that is the game of an IPS, which we need to understand when it comes to VPC, right? But VPC is the only place and the place where you know everything that is happening on your inside your on your VPC, as simple as that. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So if you observe here, so I have given the fields timestamp and interface ID, source address and destination address respective to this interface. So we can able to view all these logs with the help of the this query. I mean this 20. So we can able to get the timestamp and the interface ID, what is the source ID and what is the destination ID. So and visualization also we can able to get, but no visualization visible available. Try this to get started. Stats count. Let me check that command. Sorry. So this is the blog I have followed for viewing the logs in the Athena. So let me run this. So we can use different tools for viewing the these flow logs. So we can use Kibana dashboard as well. So for better visualization, so we can integrate some third-party tools as well. So they, for mainly audit purpose, some of the clients will use the audit purpose only. So if they want to track all the what are the IP addresses they are coming to that specific VPCs. So by enabling the VPC flow logs, we can able to track. So this still okay. Connection timed out. Okay, we need to allow the HTTPS port number. I missed it. Let me allow and check the instances. So demo ST is the security group. Inbound rules. Edit. Let me allow all traffic with the within VPC.
Praveen, can you add a IAM role with an S3 access and check, please?
Sure. S3 read only access is on. Yeah, so I'll check this point. So why it is not coming? So once it is coming, no. So if it is not coming, so I can sort it out and will drop an email. So what is the root cause of why we are not accessing this AWS S3? So generally it will come. So when you have the S3 endpoint, it will access. So unnecessarily we are wasting our time. Yeah, so that's what I have. So if you have any questions, please let me know. So so I will share this presentation for all the members. So I will check this point later. So if it is not coming, so I will check it and sort it out. Hello. Ravi sir. Hello, Ravi sir. Okay, so guys, thank you. So thanks for joining. So we can close this session now. So I will share these details. Maybe some network, like I don't know what exactly here. So I will check it and get back to you. So I'll drop an email. That's not an issue. So we can quit. So thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Praveen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Praveen.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Praveen.
Thanks, Brian.
Praveen.
Bro, can we, every time we launch our VPC with CIDR range 10.0.0/16, so in every, we try in our personal console, and any other will be trying for this same IP. So can you explain about this? I also launch and you also launch. Would it not be any conflict? I'm
No,
also
it
getting
won't
the
be
same.
conflict, Ahmed. So it won't be conflict. So we can have a same range for multiple accounts. That's not an issue. So while peering, if you want to communicate, for suppose you have created 10 series, I also created with 10 series only. So if I want to communicate with your VPC, no, at that time the conflict will be raised.
Okay, bro.
So
Thanks.
if you want to have the communication
Praveen?
between these two VPs, then we have the issues.
Praveen, now I can see from the instance now you are able to get the AWS SQLs. Can you please log in? Can you please log out and log in again? Or else you can connect via SSN. Can you connect via SSN? Yeah. I have just confirmed.
Okay, let me log in.
I think not this instance, the third instance. We were looking into third instance.
No, so I have. So this is the private server, right? Private instance. So I have configured in this server only.
So if you have configured in this server, have you given S3 access?
Wait. Let me check in the root table. So I have given this demo private 2.0. So 2.0 is 2.163. This server only either.
The third instance, if I have connected, it is able to get the AWS S3 LS. If you connect to the third instance,
Yeah, let me check. So that instance is having the internet gateway either.
Okay.
That this demo instance is having the internet gateway. It is hosted in the public network.
Okay, that's why it is able to connect, right? Okay.
And it is having the IAM. I mean, we have given the S3 access for that role, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it will communicate. That's not an issue. But same role we have used for this server also. So I will check it. I will. Yes. So this is the public server. So we are trying to get these details in the private network, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I check and sort it out. That's not an issue.
Okay.
No. Thank you.
Thank you.